How's it going, everyone? It's Kevin here, a movie collector maniac. So Tim from Tim Talks Talkies is putting together another top 25 community list, and it's been chosen to be the 1970s. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description of this video, and you can go check it out if you want to. You can submit your own list also if you'd like. Yeah, these first two movies I only remember watching about 4 years ago, but I have owned them on Blu-ray for a while, but now I have them on 4K. I probably need to rewatch them again, as they might move up on my list. Yeah, I even asked my dad not too long ago if he's seen them before. He said he hasn't, so I might rewatch them with him. I know some others might have these higher up on their list, but this is where I got them since I really probably only seen them one time, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So number 25, I have The Godfather 2 from 1974. This film won an Oscar for Best Picture. It's directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who won an Oscar for Best Director and Best Writing. Also stars Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. He won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Then you got Robert Duvall also. Number 24, we have The Godfather from 1972, and this film won an Oscar for Best Picture also. Also directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and it stars Marlon Brando. He won an Oscar for Best Actor in this in a leading role. Yeah, you also have Al Pacino, James Caan, and Robert Duvall in this one as well. Number 23, I have The Sting from 1973, and it won an Oscar for Best Picture also. This film stars Paul Newman and Robert Redford. I just recently watched this movie the other day, and I really enjoyed it, so I put it on my list. Number 22, I have The Exorcist. It's from 1973, and it has to be one of the scariest movies ever made. I didn't watch this movie a lot growing up because of that. So that's why it's lower on my list. I'm sure it'll be a lot higher on other people's. Yeah, there have been sequels to this film, but they can't live up to the original. Number 21 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971. It stars Gene Wilder. I remember watching this movie as a kid numerous times, but I haven't watched this one in a long time. I need to watch it since I have this 4K now, but I haven't done it yet. Number 20 is Mad Max from 1979. This movie is directed by George Miller, stars Mel Gibson, of course. Yeah, this is another movie I've seen numerous times, especially on TV. But yeah, this is another one of my 4Ks I haven't watched yet. It's still sealed up. But yeah, you got several sequels from this movie. Of course, you had The Road Warrior in 1981. Then you had Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome from 1985. Number 19 is Every Which Way But Loose from 1978. It's an action comedy movie starring Clint Eastwood, who has a pet orangutan named Clyde. Yeah, I always thought this movie was funny, having Clint interact with a orangutan. If it wasn't for watching TBS growing up, I might not have seen this movie, at least not as many times I have. This movie also has a sequel, Any Which Way You Can. It's from 1980. Number 18, I have the Western movie Big Jake from 1971. Stars John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. Number 17 is another John Wayne movie called The Shootist. It's from 1976. This movie also has a great cast of co-stars. You got Lauren Bacall, Ron Howard, and James Stewart in this one. Number 16, we have the classic comedy movie National Lampoon's Animal House from 1978. I'm pretty sure most people have probably seen this one. If you haven't, you need to check it out. It stars John Belushi. It even has Kevin Bacon in this one a little bit. So yeah, Harold Ramis has a writing credit on this one. Of course, you know him from Ghostbusters and some other movies. Some of the scenes from this movie were filmed on the campus of the University of Oregon. Number 15, we have the Western comedy Blazing Saddles from 1974, directed by Mel Brooks, stars Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder. It's a very funny movie, but can be a little bit silly at times, so you gotta have a good sense of humor to really enjoy this movie. Yeah, I don't think this movie would be made today, so enjoy it when you can. Number 14 is the Western drama Jeremiah Johnson from 1972. Stars Robert Redford. Has some great cinematography in this movie. It's a great little western. Number 13, I have the crime drama movie Taxi Driver from 1976, directed by Martin Scorsese, and it stars Robert De Niro. And he actually prepared for this role by working as a cab driver in New York City, which I thought was pretty funny. You also have a very young 12-year-old Jodie Foster when this movie was made. And because of that, they had to hire her 19-year-old sister to be cast as her body double. Other notables in the cast are Peter Boyle, Albert Brooks, Harvey Keitel, and Sybil Shepherd. Number 12 is The Longest Yard from 1974. Stars Burt Reynolds. He plays a former pro quarterback that's now serving time in prison. He ends up putting together a football team of inmates take on the prison guards in a football game. This is another film that has a remake from 2005. Burt Reynolds also stars in that one. Number 11 is another John Wayne Western called The Cowboy. It's from 1972, and it also co-stars Bruce Dern. Number 10, we have Dirty Harry from 1971. It stars Clint Eastwood as Police Inspector Harry Callahan. Of course, you have the famous line, "You gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?" So that's a famous line from that movie. They do have 4 sequels to that movie. You got Magnum Force from 1973, and then you got The Enforcer from 1976, and then you got Sudden Impact from 1983, and you have The Deadpool from 1988. And I would really love to get a 4K collection set of all the Dirty Harry movies, so I believe they're all put out by Warner Brothers, so Warner Brothers need to get on that. Number 9 is another Clint Eastwood movie. It's a Western movie, High Plains Drifter from 1973. And this movie, Clint's character called The Stranger rides into the town of Lago, and the people in town are afraid of these 3 outlaws coming into town, causing trouble, so they want to hire him to help them from them. So that's pretty much the basis of that movie. It's a real good movie, though. Number 8, we have the horror movie Halloween from 1978, written and directed by John Carpenter. Stars Jamie Lee Curtis as her first feature film role as Laurie Strode. Also has Donald Pleasance. Of course, this is the origin story of Michael Myers, and of course, it spawned many sequels and remakes or reboots. So it'll live on forever, I guess. Number 7, we have the action comedy movie Smokey and the Bandit from 1977, starring Burt Reynolds as the Bandit. Drives that iconic and well-known 1976 Trans Am in the movie. Of course, you got the beautiful and lovely Sally Field that stars in this movie also. You got Jerry Reed, and then you got Jackie Gleason as Sheriff Buford T. Justice. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've watched this movie over the years, but it has been a lot. It's one of those movies, if I'm flipping through the channels, I'll stop and watch it. Number 6 is the classic killer shark movie Jaws from 1975 that every other shark movie has to live up to. I'm sure this movie will be high on many people's lists. This is another movie I've seen numerous times and it never gets old. Directed by Steven Spielberg, of course, and stars Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw. And won Oscars for Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Music, Original Dramatic Score. Didn't win for Best Picture, though. Number 5 is the great dramatic boxing movie Rocky from 1976. This one won an Oscar for Best Picture, though. And it was written by and stars Sylvester Stallone. And this is another movie that has many sequels and even the spin-offs with the Creed movies. And I'm missing out on the 4K steelbook, so I do have this steelbook with all 5 of them on Blu-ray. Number 4 is another sports-based movie involving baseball called The Bad News Bears from 1976. This is another movie that I've seen too many times to count. Yeah, I grew up playing Little League Baseball and competitive baseball from like when I was 6 years old to 18 years old. So that's why this movie's so high on my list. Of course, you got Walter Matthau that plays the coach in this movie, and then you got a young Jackie Earle Haley in this movie that plays one of the players. And this movie had 3 sequels to it. I actually do have the 4-film Bad News Bears DVD set also. And they did do a remake on this one also with Billy Bob Thornton back in 2005. But of course, the original is always the best, pretty much. Every now and then you'll get a sequel that's better than the original. But number 3, I have the great sci-fi horror movie Alien from 1979, starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Ian Holm, and it was directed by Ridley Scott. This film won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. One of my favorite film franchises of all time, probably. Definitely in my top 5 for sure. And it started with this one. Alright, down to the final 2. Coming in number 2, we have Superman from 1978. Has to be one of the first superhero movies I've ever watched. Yeah, I remember watching this movie when I was a kid in the theater. I'm pretty sure it was this movie, but it's one of the Christopher Reeve movies with him playing Clark Kent and Superman. If it was this one, it had to have been a re-release in the theaters because I would have been too young to remember it when it first came out. Of course, it co-stars Gene Hackman, who plays Lex Luthor. And I know I dressed up as Superman for Halloween as a kid because my mom has a picture of it. I also have a picture of me with a Superman birthday cake when I was a kid also. So yeah, you probably thought I was going to put it number 1 since I had my Superman shirt on, but I decided to trick y'all a little bit, I guess. Anyway, that's another movie that has many sequels, reboots, even has a TV series, Smallville, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, Christopher Reeve will always be my Superman, Clark Kent, though. Alright, number 1 is the epic sci-fi space adventure written and directed by George Lucas, and that is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope from 1977. Although it was originally called just Star Wars. So anyway, this started all the whole Star Wars phenomenon. And of course, it starred Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. You had Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and then you got Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. And it also has many other great characters in it. You got Obi-Wan Kenobi, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader, which had the iconic voice by James Earl Jones. But yeah, I remember having Star Wars collectible toys when I was a kid. I even had a lunchbox. Yeah, there were a ton of Star Wars merchandise back then, and to this day it's the most successful film merchandising franchise ever. Of course, we all know there's prequels and sequels to this movie. Also have TV shows on Disney Plus now. I am glad Disney did release The Mandalorian on Blu-ray and 4K. Ended up getting a season 1 and season 2 on 4K. So anyway, that's my list of top 25 movies from the 1970s. I had 17 titles from my list of movies that either had sequels, remakes, or they were a sequel themselves, like The Godfather Part 2. Leave a comment down below with your list, or you can go over to Tim's channel and leave a comment with him. Let me know what you think about my list down in the comments also. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button on the way out, and don't forget to turn on your bell notification. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next video.